Welcome back to the Strategic Motion Podcast. What is Strategic Motion? Well, it's a podcast about the real stories and smart strategies behind content that drives business growth. Today, we're going to talk about courses and podcasts, and I got a special guest for you, so stick around. All right, well, welcome, Adam. Adam Gragg is my special guest today. How are you, sir?
It's good. It's good to be here.
Good. Glad to have you. So I wanted to bring Adam on. He's a good friend of mine, but he also is. You tell us what you do for a living.
Yeah. So, I'm a family therapist and a coach, and so I don't do clinical work these days, but I work with leadership teams, leaders. So my goal is to help leaders and teams face the stuff that they're avoiding, so they can make long-term change. So reach their goals, move forward, and everybody's a leader. So,
yeah. And he films his podcasts here in the studio for about, 9 months now, I think.
I think so. Yeah.
So I've never heard you. I've heard you say stuff about the 7 things in your podcast.
Yeah.
I've never heard you talk about this.
What is that?
The 7-Up.
The 7-Up. Really?
Yeah. So these are your props here that you have in the back of the podcast. So I want to know about the 7-Up, man.
Okay, so the 7-Up comes from, on a scale 1 to 10, it's great to be a 7. So it comes from perfectionism that I see people have, and let's tone it down. We think clear. Let's give ourselves grace. Let's be willing to make mistakes. It doesn't need to be perfect, and let's get it out there. And if you look at any part of your life, like your health or your business or your relationships, if you say, well, I want it at a 10, I want to be on a scale 1 to 10, I want to be a 10 as a father or whatever. Well, you're going to end up pretty discouraged because it's never going to be perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's good advice and you and I are a lot alike in the perfectionism scale, because you and we both I want it to be a 10.
Oh, yeah.
Especially in the things that we do.
Oh, yeah.
So we can punish ourselves a lot because we just want it to be so daggum perfect.
But then I overdo it, and then I end up procrastinating. Do you do that when you're?
Yes.
They just go hand in hand. So
yeah, I will put off. I'll have, a video to get done, and I will put it off for weeks if I can. It's ridiculous. It's stupid. When I sit back, I'm like, that would take me 2 hours to do. Why don't I just get it done?
Because it triggers that perfectionism.
Exactly.
And it's painful.
Yeah.
But then how do you feel once you've gotten it done? You are like, why didn't I do this sooner? And I actually it was probably easier because you already have a great skill set to employ.
Right.
But it's those emotions we're afraid of.
Yeah.
And anyway.
This might get into a therapy session.
It might. Yeah, I know. That's all right. We can do it, man. That's good.
That'd be great. Well, I want to talk about your business and how you've used strategic motion. Yeah. So you've done some courses in the past. So I know that you have 2 courses. There may be more that I don't know of.
Just 2 that have ever been commercially used. Yeah.
Yeah. So when you're building Decide Your Legacy courses, so what role does video play in helping people actually apply what you teach them?
Well, what I found is, as a clinician for 25 years, clients would share with me certain tools and concepts that were the most helpful. And instead of having to reproduce those in a session with a family again and again, I decided that there's really 2 pieces of content, worksheets and whiteboards that illustrate concepts. I decided I would record those rather than have to reproduce them again and again. I still actually like to write them out, and I still like to print off worksheets and give them to people and fill them out and everything, but it's a way they can reference good, useful content. And then in courses, I use video to explain key concepts. Explain and give illustrations, and I find that people resonate if it's concise and if it's well thought through. They can go over it again and again and again. Because I would, for years, put these whiteboards and worksheets, once they're completed, I'd put them in the file, and I still do that. I put them in a file. My team still puts them in a file, and then sometimes I'll just send them the file. It's all the stuff they've completed, and it's really powerful to have something to reference.
Yeah, that's good. So when you're deciding what videos to include, you mentioned whiteboards and things. So you're doing like teaching segments, screen walkthroughs, worksheets, and that type of thing, right?
Yeah, absolutely. It's the main things are just I'll have a section which has illustrations of main points. So what I find is when you're teaching something, you want to be practical, action-oriented, stuff they can apply right away, and stuff they can apply today, and they can see that it can help them right away. And so making it concise and then having them, it doesn't mean they're going to apply it right away, because they still have this emotional fear that they have to deal with to take action, and only they can actually do that. But my hope is that, and I have evidence from clients and things, that it's really useful to have a video that I can go back and reference that will inspire me. And we use clips of podcasts, which are, I feel, when they're concise, a little 30-second clip on a very useful, practical topic they can apply right away. Get out there, take action. That can be inspiring, and they may watch it multiple times, share it with somebody, but helpful and useful. As I've learned in this area of teaching, I mean, a great teacher is one that is giving very, very useful information that people start believing based on the example that you live, I mean, which isn't perfect, make it a 7, but hopefully you're trying to apply the content you're teaching, or else and hopefully you're trying to be simple in your explanation of the concept so that they can say, like, I could do that. I could do that.
Yeah. And I haven't watched a full course all the way through that you have, but I know in your podcast, you're always giving examples in your life. I think every podcast you talk about a fear that you just faced, in the past week or whatever. So it's good that you're living out what you are teaching. So,
well, I very imperfectly, like very, very imperfectly. That's one of the lies I tell myself a lot, is like, you can't teach this stuff because you're not, doing it well enough. But it's kind of like, if I went to see the doctor and the doctor was overweight, like really unhealthy, I would have some pause. Like, it'd be like, but if the doctor came to me and said, you know what, I got to lose some weight and I'm really working on it, I wouldn't have any pause. Because they're admitting they're trying to work on something, and we're all in that boat. Yeah,
so, that's funny, because I have this story. The last doctor I used to go to, he would kind of like waddle in the room.
Oh, yeah, right.
And then take my blood pressure and tell me to lose weight and then waddle out.
That's tough, man.
And I was just like, oh, God.
But what if the guy said, like, I know I've made some bad decisions, and last year I went through a divorce, and I got to clean it up, but I do not. Yeah, for a second.
I'd give him a little grace.
Absolutely. You'd be like, that was really honest, and I really appreciate that, because I could be in his shoes. You could too.
And even the new doctor I see now, like, he was giving me some advice on some things I could do to get healthier, lower my blood pressure. And walking out of the room, he was like, I need to follow my own advice.
That's
like,
cool. I love that.
His belly.
Dude, that's so honest. That draws people. I want to follow that doctor more, because they're the one, like, admitting that they have the challenges as well. Like, It's super cool.
Well, you remember in the 80s when doctors smoked?
Oh, I do.
It's like,
I do. No.
There was in the new, speaking of talking about movies, we do that on this show too. So in the new episode of Stranger Things, the doctor comes in and is telling them, like, yeah, you can't go see your mom. She's in a coma or whatever. She needs to be left alone. And he walks off, and she's like, we're getting in there somehow. I don't trust doctors that smoke. Because he had like smoke on his breath or whatever.
Yeah. That's
can't do it.
Things have changed.
Yeah. So, talking about perfectionism, how do you balance being polished versus being personable on camera?
Oh,
like in your courses and kind of in the podcast too. So
So it goes. It's like. You can't control the outcome of content that you create. I can think of podcasts that I pulled together last minute, and that were really, in my world, which with a podcast, a lot of downloads, like popular and shared and everything. And I've been like, that's not one I thought would be really great, but it was. Whatever was shared. I'm not sure, and then ones that I put a whole bunch of energy into, try and make them perfect, and they're, relatively speaking, they're not nearly as popular. I mean, so it's like I can't control the outcome. There's an element of luck with it.
Yeah.
And what I find is I would lean on the side of being prepared, not perfect, but don't get to the point where you're polished, because that's where the realness comes out of you. Polished, and it depends on what your definition of that is.
Yeah.
And there's different types of content you create. Some might be commercial grade that you're going to use for like a paid advertisement. I mean, there's different levels of production, but people resonate with real, they resonate with genuine, they resonate with true, they resonate with practical and useful. And they'll always want to listen to you if they know that you're somebody who's going to be honest with them, share the story with them that's true, and you're going to give them something that could really impact their life in a powerful way. And they're going to sense that from you too. So much more apt to say, like, practice what you preach, do it, which, that's a real tough one for me. Cause I mean, I preach a lot of stuff. Like I preach too much stuff probably. Cause I mean, it's pretty hard to, it's like, that's my challenge all the time is I want to practice what I preach, but if I'm just leaning in and doing the best I can today, it's going to come out in the way I deliver the content. And that's much more impactful than polished.
Yeah. Well, what I tell everybody that comes into the studio, whether it's podcasts or just talking head on camera, I give them advice to just, because they're like, what do I do with my hands? Where do I look? I'm like, I just want you to act as natural as possible. I know it's hard, like with a camera staring in your face, but if you use your hands to talk, use your hands to talk.
Have fun.
Like if you look away when you're talking to somebody, and we don't stare at people when we're having a conversation. Normally, we're looking away and coming back to it. Just act natural, because you come across more trustworthy on camera if you're acting natural.
Yeah. If you hear that from somebody, it's almost like don't tell them that, because the best thing to do would be like just to distract them from that thought, because the more you're trying to act natural, the more anxious you get as well.
Yeah.
It's almost like, did you see the bird or squirrel? Or like, let's talk about something funny, like show them a funny joke. And they're like, it's kind of like if I'm going to go speak to a group of people, one of the best things I can do is just go interact with people and not think anything about what I'm going to talk about, and just trust that the outcome's going to be there. Because then I'm much more natural. I get up on stage or whatever. I'm still nervous. I mean, I'm still wanting to look at my notes and pull, but I'm going to do better because I let go.
Yeah.
So let go. Man.
Yeah.
Secret.
Yeah. And usually when I have somebody in the other room in the studio, I'll ask all the questions, and I'll go back, depending on how good they got through it. Because everybody kind of tends to loosen up, about fourth, fifth question. Then I'll loop back around to the first two and ask them again, because they're loose and they usually give a better answer.
The second time.
Yeah, the second time around.
That's insightful.
Yeah. So with your courses, how do they measure? Have you measured them with like completion rate? Have you gotten good feedback from them over the years? I mean, how long have they been in existence?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, I have one course called Tune Up for Life.
Okay.
And it's a way to find clarity in your life, answers to hard questions like your core values and your life purpose, and some of the mindsets that you have that limit you in your life, and to journal and you create a document that gives you real clarity in those areas. And so I started selling that in 2017. And so I can measure it based on courses sold and all that. I can also measure it by completion rate. But the way I measure it generally is the feedback I get from clients that actually use it. Because somebody can go through it with their teams. I've had people go through it with teams, and everyone's going through it, but there wasn't a whole lot of feedback from certain team members than there are from others. So it's like, yeah, it is one measure, but you're going to get feedback on even negative feedback is really great, because they show that they are passionate about it, and they want you to refine some things to help make it better. Yeah. So there's iterations. That's one thing I've thought about with content creation, is there's so many iterations of what you do. So I can create a graphic, which I got a new website coming out. It was supposed to come out Friday, but it's going to come out Monday now. And there's so many different iterations of the same concepts that have refined it.
Yeah.
That actually is really powerful. And don't be discouraged by that. That's just, I got it out there. I released it. I got feedback on it. I'm going to tweak it, and it's getting better and more helpful.
Yeah.
There you go. So people comment on things if they tell their friends about it, and then they come back to you. Now, pure metrics are great. Now, I've used Kajabi for the last 3 years. I've used other course development programs, but Kajabi is by far my favorite. And you can get really detailed analytics on how far someone's gone through a certain module, how far someone has gone through the entire course. All this stuff. And you have really powerful tools to utilize. I could use them much better, but that is something I need help with.
Well, there's so many different things you can do in those, because those programs are so intricate.
Oh, they are.
And you can just do so many different things with them.
And it could really, if you used it really well, it could help people, because they finish a module and it gives them some inspiration to go and push through. Or it gives them so many different ways. Even a call from a coach would be super cool. But we don't have the capacity to do that with everyone that goes through the courses right now. But that's kind of in progress for me. I would ultimately love to have the personal touch with every situation, not just when there's a problem, right?
Yeah.
So super exciting to think about that. But
yeah, you definitely want positive feedback as well. And you have an app that goes with your courses, right?
Yeah.
And people sign up for the course. They
Yep.
they get on the app, and there's like a community there that they could talk.
Super cool. And I do find that people like to listen to the courses on their phone, and they do it in the car, and they tell me that. So it's nice to have the app for that rather than being behind a computer, because it's almost like listening. Because I don't know if you've noticed this, but people will listen to Audible books or listen to podcasts kind of without shame, right?
Yeah.
Because it doesn't even count as on their screen time. I don't think. Maybe it does, but I don't think it does, because I can listen to music all day on Apple Music, and I can listen to podcasts all day, but it doesn't count on my screen time, because I have this screen time problem.
Oh yeah.
Well, I don't want to be on screen time. I know, but I'm on this. I'm kind of a little paranoid. I do not want to pick this sucker up, unless I have to. I want to be on this thing for less than an hour a day. So, but that's the cool part about an app, or on your computer. I don't know if it won't count as your screen time either, but you can do and engage the content and then go back. And it's also where, so you can then go back and watch a video again. So many cool things. But yeah, you can it's called Decide Your Legacy is the name of the business, and that's the name of the app as well. And then the community, we have every month for people that go through the courses, they also have access to the community, and you can subscribe to the community as a standalone as well. But we have a monthly coaching session they can observe. We have a Q&A every month, and then challenges every other week. And that's what we have right now. So people interact with your challenge to go through certain aspects of a course or some kind of content.
That's very cool.
Yeah.
So your podcast, some of the stats, your all-time downloads, you got 33,077 downloads.
Yep.
You've published 183 episodes. Your average download per episode after a week it's been out is 51. After 30 days, 69. After 60 days, 77. In 90 days, 82. So they're growing, right? So the longer they stay out there, the more they get picked up and the more they get listened to, which is pretty cool. It shows longevity, or they're evergreen, right?
Right.
Yeah, evergreen content.
Yep.
So your podcast, it has a pretty loyal following, it seems like. So how do you think it does? Give us your thoughts on it. Well,
see, my journey has been kind of rocky with podcasting.
Yeah.
I started in May of 2020, and I produced 3 episodes that all launched at the same time, or within days of each other. And then I got the first 10 done quickly. And then after, I think, podcast number 25, I decided I got to quit this thing. And so I quit for 3 months. And then I decided to start up again. And then I was telling myself, I'll do 1 a month. So I've gone back and I'll do 2 a month. I've gone to weekly. I've gone all over the place. I've done my intro and outro numerous times. I've had 2, Troy being one of them, producers. And they're both friends, and they've done a great job. I think that it's been in my own head. I've been like, this is a lot of energy, and my perfectionism comes back, and I want to quit. I'm like, this isn't really driving, and it's not really helping. I'll justify it, rationalize it, but I've learned along the way. It's and I've even realized that nobody really cares about my intro and outro. I want to be clear as possible, but they do care about me giving them information that's helpful. And how could I get them to listen to this information is by drawing them in with a great introduction, with a great reason to listen. So that first 60 seconds is really important. But I mean, it's taken a long time. Recently, the downloads have increased significantly. So within like the last 8 months, I would say half of those downloads have come in. Really, because for one, I do produce evergreen content. I've been blogging since 2012, and there are blog posts that I've repurposed and written that get 25,000 readers a month, and they have a podcast attached to them, and that draws in people to listen to that specific podcast. So there's a select group of podcasts that have driven probably 50% of the listens. And I wish I could just reproduce why people are drawn to those specific podcasts, but it's kind of cool. Yeah. And it makes you think, and as I dig into it deeper, I get to learn from this whole process. So I'm really glad that I've stuck it out, because it does feel like there's really great momentum right now, and just get better at it, because who knows, the only thing that helps me, encourages me, is like, it's like somebody tells you it was helpful to them, and it's a very random thing, where you get some encouragement from people. There's other things that help me, but it's really exciting to know that you're getting feedback, even if it's every podcast, like 5 people that reach out and say like, well, that was a really cool story. It's like, wow, I can help people even when I'm sleeping, even when I'm not actually, even when I recorded that 3 years ago, that's helping somebody. And in some cases, you're just shocked by it. Like, that helped you that much? Did somebody pay you to say that? And you're like, but it's really exciting.
But those are those emotional triggers that come into your head when somebody tells you something good.
It can, yeah.
You try to say,
right.
No.
Rather than just embrace it and be present with it and be grateful that there's technology that people can access like this.
Yeah. And that's why you became a coach and a therapist and a coach as well, because you want to help people. So
yeah, I did. Exactly. And that's when I get out of my own anxiety, because it's not about me. It's about helping them. So even just in the last 6 months, I have clarified that I got to have 3 parts of every podcast that are good. And if I prepare those things, I can refine. If I do refine those aspects and I'm really confident with those areas, the rest of the podcast can flow very well. And one is the very beginning. And you can call it the hook, you can call it the intro, but it's something that it's either a story that you're sharing, or it's something you're going to give them that's ultra valuable, that's going to make them want to listen because it's impacted your life. And then you give them at least one piece of information that you're so excited about sharing with somebody. Like today I recorded 2 podcasts, and I was excited about sharing, here's 4 questions that you could ask anybody that's going to make the relationship and the connection deepen. And they're really interesting and fun. I was really excited about that, And I listed in another podcast 3, what were they? 3 questions to ask yourself that will help you go deeper in your own life, that will help you start taking some of your own advice to take action and move forward with your life. And I was like, this is going to help somebody, because it's helping me even right now, Yeah. So if I have those 2 parts, and then the final part is a call to action. It's something that you're asking them to do based on listening to this content. And the reason that inspires me is because it's telling them you can do something with this that's going to make it stick for you, where, wow, I get to see potentially, if you share with me, a result that you got from applying this content.
Yeah.
Get those and nail those down, and you'll have more fun delivering a podcast.
Yeah. No, that's good. Yeah, and definitely breaking it up into segments is definitely good. So the podcast we used to do, the Hard-Headed podcast, we had 3 segments. We would do just a random segment at the beginning, like kind of current event, kind of what's going on, and then we would talk about 3 favorite things, and we would all list those off. There were three of us on the podcast, and then we would end the podcast every time with like a good word or reading a scripture with some depth behind it, some diving deeper into that scripture and talking about what it meant and everything. So yeah,
very cool.
It was good. It was fun.
Yeah.
So if a business owner came up to you and said, Adam, I've been thinking about starting a podcast. I've been thinking about making some courses. You've done this for a few years. What kind of advice would you give them?
I would say, well, first of all, I'd ask them a question like, well, what interests you about podcasting? And sometimes it interests people because they like to speak. Sometimes it interests people because they're a big fan of podcasting, so what interests them and what interests you? And I mean, this is kind of cliche, but I would say first of all, articulate the concepts, things you want people to know that could make a huge difference in their life. So you would make some sort of list, because people have wisdom to share, experience to share. They have stories to share about their own life. They have lessons that they've learned to share.
Yep.
I would say make a list. Like if somebody was grieving their divorce, that'd be one of the best pieces of advice. Say, what lessons did you learn from this thing? Start writing it down. Be clear. And then you'll be surprised at how much great information you have, and then pick from that list and determine, first of all, like, what are the questions people ask you the most related to your business? And so what do they ask you about? Do they ask you about, because it could be unrelated to your product or service.
Yeah.
And they might say, well, how do you have such a great partnership with your co-owners? And how did you do that? Because I haven't seen that happen before. Well, that could be really great content you could share, because you have some nugget of information that could be helpful to other people. Or they may just ask you, because you've started a successful business, you may get frequently, because I do sometimes get some random questions that, how did you actually start? What got you to the point where you actually jumped in and did it? And that may be something you could do a podcast on. And so you would start by having these areas of content where you're super passionate, and you probably have stories you could share related to that content. You probably have failures that you could share related to that content that drive your passion, because it's like, don't do this kind of information, which is super helpful, and it'll come out as you deliver it. And so if they're really hesitant or whatever, it's going to give them, first of all, encouragement to go ahead and do it. And it's kind of like, and I've told people this many times, like my first piece of content I ever created that I actually gave to people as a lead magnet was my 50 favorite relationship building questions. And I did that.
And that's still like one of your top
it
blog
is.
posts.
Oh, it's the number one.
Yeah.
It's the number one.
That was the first one you ever did?
That was the very first one I ever did. Yeah. And it was written, and I did a blog post tied to it. And it was something I had in a loose format, but for years and years and years, but it was probably 2012. That was right when I started the blog. Yeah, I put that out there, and I've repurposed it and refined it and everything. But I mean, that lead magnet today, it gets to help a lot of people. I mean, every month it's potentially read by 50,000 people, and I don't know how many download it, but it's 50 people maybe download it, but they get to read the blog post. It's called 50 fun relationship building questions. But it's so. And I've done many podcasts on asking questions, and those ones, believe it or not, are the podcasts that people actually download the most. Yeah. They actually do, because it's on relationships. And I've looked at it. I just recently said, well, what are the questions people ask you about the most? And it usually is relationships and anxiety and teamwork, interaction with your team, facing stuff in your life. And those are kind of loosely, the most popular downloads. But then you have these outliers too.
Yeah, I wonder if they're so popular because we're so stuck on our phones these days now, and there's just a lack of communication between people, between humans in general.
It'll differentiate you big time.
Yeah, yeah.
If you're the one who's going to call somebody rather than text them, if you're the one who's going to drop by and interact with somebody because you're curious, or if you're the one who's going to go and talk to a stranger, you'll forever differentiate yourself, which I think is super exciting, because it's like, I met an accountant today, started an accounting firm, and it's 3 partners that own this firm. And I asked them how they're different, from other accounting firms. And I could just tell, and they're new, it's a startup and everything, but their one big thing was, we're going to be out in the community and relational. We're going to prioritize relationships. And not that other accountants don't do that. I'm not saying that at all. I'm not saying that at all. But I thought that was pretty cool. But now they it's a new company, but it was exciting to hear. And I think there's really a great deal of opportunity in that area, based on the content that I see that Decide Your Legacy produces. That's popular. It's all about generally relationships, because anxiety is highly connected to rejection and relationships and fear and all this stuff.
Yeah, really
valuable information.
Yeah,
well, that information people really, really want. So that is a big deal for people.
Yeah. Well, that's good. Before we jump into the film talk segment, tell listeners where can they find you, where can they find your podcast and your website?
Yeah, you can find it. DecideYourLegacy.com is the website. Decide Your Legacy is the podcast. You can connect with me there. You can find it on YouTube, Decide Your Legacy on YouTube, and check it out.
Yeah.
Not hard to find. Adam Gragg. All right. Reach out.
Call him. He'll give you some good knowledge.
Yeah.
Some good therapy.
And one thing I wanted to highlight too is like one podcast can be so much content, right? Because you can do reels and you can repurpose it. It's like content is not the challenge as much for people. I mean, pick something you're really passionate about, but you can use it for months. One podcast.
Yeah. I mean, if you're doing a 15 to 20 minute podcast, you can get 15 or 20. You can get a reel out of every minute if you really wanted to.
If you really wanted to,
depending on the content. If you're doing like an interview like we're doing here, 25, 30 to 40, even 45 minutes sometimes, man, you can get like 30 reels out of that. That'll be like really good content that people would probably not scroll by, or maybe they will.
Yeah. I mean, some of the stuff you produce, you get 1,000 views or whatever. And it's like, that was obviously helpful to somebody.
Yeah.
And then it stays out there and it drives some people. They look at that and they say like, yeah, I want to check out the podcast because that interview was interesting or that guy was interesting. I don't really like Adam, but I like Adam's guest. I want to go check him out. It's like whatever they want to do with that. It's fine.
Yeah, no, it's good. So tell me, what's your favorite movie or a movie that impacted you the most in your life?
Interstellar is one of, I mean, there's a number, but Interstellar is a big one.
Christopher Nolan. Yeah.
I do. I haven't watched that. It's like a special, I haven't watched it for a while, but I've watched it with my daughter and get just sucked into it. It feels like every time I go through it, I get a new direction, something. It's just deep movie and fun. And I still don't understand it completely. It's kind of funny, but
it is deep. I mean, all of Christopher Nolan's movies that he's like worked on the screenplay and produced and directed, they're all pretty deep. I mean, even the Batman series is like, there's some deep stuff going on, psychological stuff going through Bruce Wayne throughout the whole thing. But yeah, Interstellar, that one's kind of, you got to watch that multiple times to kind of figure out what's going on.
I was wondering if it was popular when it first came out too, because I think that one has grown in popularity. I would imagine. Yeah, it's kind of interesting to see the box office when it first came out because it's a classic. I mean, I think it's still. If someone hasn't seen it, I'm like, yeah, you're gonna like Interstellar. Go check that out.
Yeah, it's really good. If you kind of like thriller type, and it's not. I wouldn't say. Would you say thriller? What kind of classification would you get?
It's science fiction.
Science fiction kind of thriller.
It's got this epic, courageous, be willing to give up everything in order to save
humanity,
the most important things, and it has a relational aspect to it. It's got a love. The end of it. It's got like a love story deal.
Yeah, it's Matthew McConaughey. So like, he was a good character too. That was good casting for that movie. Yeah.
Not that I know anything about casting, but I mean, obviously that was good.
You enjoyed it. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. It's good.
Yeah. That one's really good. Christopher Nolan's probably one of my top 5 directors by far.
You're going to have to tell me the other 4 after. I need some movie recommendations, really, because if I was going to watch one movie over the holiday that I probably, maybe I've seen it, maybe I haven't. I'm not a movie guru guy, so there's a lot of things. Like, what's a movie just that you would recommend?
For the holidays?
Not a holiday movie, but you know how I could have time to just like watch a movie when I might not normally make time for that?
Well, what other Christopher Nolan movies have you seen?
I've seen a long time ago, The Sixth Sense. I have seen.
No, that's M. Night Shyamalan.
Oh, it is. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, Inception. Have you seen that? With
yes.
Okay.
Didn't like it as much as Interstellar.
See,
but I have only watched that one time, and it might be really good to watch again.
Yeah.
Right. I love the soundtrack to Christopher Nolan movies too. Inception is a great soundtrack.
Yeah. What about Memento? Did you ever see that one?
I tried. Is that Christopher Nolan?
That's Christopher Nolan.
That's an old Christopher Nolan.
Yeah. And it just it's trippy, man, because it was like the whole sequencing of events works backwards.
That's probably why I didn't like it.
That's why it's just so like you get to the end.
That's probably why I couldn't follow it. I'm like, well, when do you know that it's going backwards? Like, is it the middle of the movie or whatever.
I think it's about in the middle, but you figure it out, and it's just like, oh my gosh. Like,
I should watch it again.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
I had the DVD for that one in college. It was really good. So
yeah. And I should watch Interstellar again, actually, just talking about it. Great. That's a real fun kid movie too. I think it's a good kid movie. Your kids are pretty young, but
my kids are pretty young. My kids would be like, it'd be over their head.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know Emerson had to have watched it when she was like 12, 13 and liked it, but yeah. Maybe over her head, but cool.
Yeah. All right. Check out Christopher Nolan movies.
Christopher Nolan. Good.
And don't forget to check out decideyourlegacy.com.
That's right.
And this is Adam Gragg, and I'm Troy Trussell, and this has been Strategic Motion.
Good work. Keep up the good work.
Thank you, sir. You too.
Okay.
See you next week.